today. So we'll start with side control and we'll move on to mount. What I want you to, so I'll do a little bit of explaining, then I'll give you a game to play. So one of the things that's really big in my jiu-jitsu at the moment is this concept of open elbow, open armpit position. Okay, the further away his elbow is away from the center mass of his body, the better things are for me, the worse things are for him. So ideally, I want to be kind of like looking to wedge a part of my body as far underneath his armpit as I can get. Okay, and this is good for me. All right, so I just want you to kind of like keep that concept in mind. Is trying to kind of like force your partner's elbow away from the center mass of his body. Okay, so the game that we're going to kind of like start off with is Jens is going to turn on his side towards me. Yeah, turn his sides towards me. And my job, it's a really simple game to play, is I'm going to try and force his top shoulder flat onto the mat and hold him here for 3 seconds. That's it, okay? So I'm going to be, if you turn inside again, Jen, so I'm going to be looking to push his shoulder onto the mat and hold him there for 3 seconds, okay? As soon as you win, you're going to swap over, okay? So I've managed to kind of pin Jen's down for 3 seconds. We swap over. I'll start on my side, and it'll be his turn to do the same. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, we'll play this game for 3 minutes, and then we'll move on from there. Everybody understand? Different partner, grab someone new, please. Off you go. Off you go, off you go, off you go. Again, okay, so some things that I noticed. Yeah, so Jens has played this game before, so he's already kind of doing the thing where he's tucking his elbow underneath his body. So this is good. So if Jens removes his elbow, it's kind of like his body is kind of like turns into like a roller. So it's kind of like easier for me to kind of push him onto his side. If he wedges his elbow just a little bit underneath his body, now there's like a hard shell for me to kind of like push over. Yeah, it's more difficult for me. The other thing Jens is doing is he's kind of forcing his top shoulder to the mat here a little bit. Okay, this is good. All right, so now it's difficult for me to force him there. I saw a couple of interesting tactics. I saw the girls in the corner. One of you kind of like came around here, was looking to push this back. That's absolutely legit. That's a really good tactic to follow. Okay, so just bearing that in mind. So I just wanted you to I want you to keep this game in mind as we kind of like move on to the next game, because kind of like this is going to be important to how we build our escapes up. Okay, so we're going to start in a completely different position now. So you're going to be flat on your back. Completely flat on your back, okay? He's going to have his hands above his head. And all the way above his head here, okay? I'm going to be chest to chest with him. One of my hands is going to be kind of rested here, and then the other hand is going to be coming like kind of behind his head, okay? My job is to stop him from raising this shoulder off the mat. So his job is to turn into me, either this way or turn to me that way, okay? So his job is to try and get one of his shoulders and one of his hips off the mat in the opposite direction. So either that way or this way. These are the only two ways he can turn, okay? All right. So I'm going to have one hand here and then one hand kind of like underneath his neck, all right? This is my starting position, okay? So it's going to be the same rule. So as soon as he manages to get on to his side and stay here for like 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, he wins, okay? Or turns away. Stay on his side for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, he wins. Does that make sense? Okay? Yes. The goal of the game is to stop him from turning onto his side. Okay? The goal of the game is to stop him from turning onto his side. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? Change partners, grab someone new. Okay, so the next game that we're going to play, it's going to be similar to the last game. So the last game, we're starting with your partner's hands above the head and you had chest-to-chest contact. This time, Anton is going to have his forearms connected here like this, across his chest like this. Okay? My goal remains the same, is to try and keep both his shoulders pinned flat to the floor. Anton's goal now is to either turn into me or turn away. Goal remains exactly the same, all right? But now it's going to be the starting position is different. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. As soon as I think some people are getting confused with the rules. So some people are actually The top person was looking to turn their partner to the side. This is not what I want. I don't want this for this particular game. I want to keep him flat on his back. Okay, flat on his back. Okay. You do not necessarily need to stay inside control. You can move to a different position if you choose to. Okay, so long as you keep both their shoulders flat on the floor. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Change partners, grab someone new, please. Off you go. That's it. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Cool. So when your partners has got, so I talked a lot about like the open elbow position before. So if I'm able to open up Anton's elbow and get to this kind of like underneath his armpit, this is really good for me. If he's able to kind of like keep this space here, it's difficult. What works even better if he's able to connect his knees and his elbows together. Now it's very difficult for me to kind of pin him down. Okay, now you can start moving, hipping out and then recovering guard. And even the other way around, if he, connects his knee and his elbows together, if you turn away, now he can start going into positions like turtle and stuff like that and escaping that way. Okay. One thing that I noticed that a lot of you were having a little bit of difficulty with was you're letting people kind of like grab around your head and kind of like putting, controlling your head. So you do need to think about how you do that. The starting position is here, but you can kind of like start framing out. So if you just start pushing, yeah, exactly. You can start using your hands at a higher point. The whole point is you don't want me kind of grabbing around the head and you don't want to be opening up too much space underneath the armpit at the same time. Okay. So I just want you to kind of keep those ideas in your head. So we're going to move to, the answer is it depends. Okay. The answer is it depends because it's depending on what energy your partner is giving you as well, and kind of what type of side control that they're using. So, for example, if they're passing here, one thing that I'm tending to do a lot these days is if you stick this hand in my armpit, and then if you just turn away like that, I'm just hipping out like so. He's turning away, yeah. So that might be one thing that you might be looking at to do, but it just depends on what. I'm sorry, that's kind of like a really like rubbish answer, but it depends on what energy they give. If Anton's already turned on his side here as I'm looking to pass, it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to kind of like turn away. But if, for example, I've gone for like a Toriando pass and I've pushed his hips away, then it does make more sense for him to turn away and then kind of like look to yeah.
I always feel like I'm giving him a backup because I'm not quick enough to get out of it.
Okay, so yeah, we'll work on that. So you shouldn't be too worried. We'll work a lot on turtle because that's it's an important position to be comfortable in. So I'll take that on board. Okay, so we're going to move to a different position now. So we're going to move to a position called mount. Okay, so it's going to be the same principle that apply. Okay, ideally I want to get my knees as far up underneath Anton's armpits as possible. Okay, so the goal of this game is Anton's going to have his forearm or his hands on my hips. So it's either going to be his forearms or his hands on my hips. And his job is to stop me from getting my knees underneath his armpits. Okay? So we're going to play this game for 1.5 minutes on top, 1.5 minutes on bottom. If I manage to get my knees underneath Anton's armpits, I need to hold him here for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll reset here. Okay? But he's always going to start with either his hands or his elbows on my hips. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? Yeah, that's it. So change partners again. We're going to do this 1.5 minutes on top, 1.5 minutes on bottom. Person on bottom stays on bottom. Person on top stays on top. I'm going to tell you when to switch. Okay, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of speech after this game. Okay, change partners. Grab someone new, please. Thank you. With the mount, this can be like, it's like one of the scariest positions in like jiu-jitsu or self-defense scenarios because this is like, it's like psychologically very intimidating kind of from this position. Kind of, you can imagine someone like punching you or elbowing you or headbutting you from this position. So it's a kind of quite a scary position to be in. In jiu-jitsu competitions, this is what we call a 4-point position. So you can't score any more than 4 points. Okay. So this is the maximum number of points. If I end up in mount, that could be the match. Okay. The reason for that, so again, kind of like the reason for this is it's very difficult for Anton to submit me from this position. It's difficult for him to knock me out, but I have seen it in MMA fights. It's easy for me to do damage to him, difficult for him to do damage to me. Okay, so I'm going to go over some ideas about escaping. So we talked about framing. So you know, the first thing is you don't want the situation to get any worse. So the situation getting worse for Anton would be me getting my knees really high underneath his armpits and start looking for like arm locks and stuff like this, or me somehow forcing Anton onto his belly and taking his back. And now this is terrible for him. Yeah. So you don't want to be flat on your stomach or kind of flat on your back. You want to be on your side. So, and you know, an idea. Yeah, exactly. Now it's difficult for me. Yeah, exactly. He can start recovering his guard and all that sort of thing. Before Anton does any of that, what's the first thing that he needs to do? No. Anton, you know the answer to this. No. First thing that Anton needs to do is to tell himself that he's going to be okay. That's the first thing, okay? Then he needs to breathe, okay? Then he needs to start doing like the physical activity, okay? And all that needs to take place in like a fraction of a second, okay? So I've mounted him. He can't think like, oh shit, I'm in a bad position. I'm going to do fine. Take a breath, and he's going to start setting up his defenses, whatever those are going to be. So he might be framing with his elbow, he might be framing with his arm, whatever he's going to do. Okay, so the next game that we're going to play is Anton is going to be looking. So he's going to start with his frames in place, whatever those are going to be, and he's going to be looking either to trap one of my legs in between his legs, like this. Okay, get both his feet on top of my hips. Okay, or he's looking to go from a bottom position to a top position, so maybe rolling me onto my back. Yeah, like this. If he does any one of those three things, he wins. Okay. Person on top, your job is just to stay on top of them. Okay. So don't let them trap your legs. If you get me into half guard, Anton, there you go. Don't let them. Yeah, exactly. Don't let them put their feet on your hips. Okay. And don't let them roll you over onto your back. Okay, so those are his three winning conditions. Yes, sorry, Paul? No. Okay. Yes. Okay, so the way that the point system works in Jiu-Jitsu is that you get a certain number of points for action. So, for example, if we stand up, Anton, if I was to kind of push Anton down, I'd get 2 points for this. Okay, I'd get if I was in between Anton's legs, I'd get 3 points for passing his guard and coming chest to chest with him. I'd get 2 points for going to something called knee on belly. Okay, so I'd get 2 points for this. And I'd get 4 points for going into mount here. And I'd also get 4 points if I took Anton's back. All right, like this. So those are the kind of like main scoring positions. Okay, so that's how the points would work. And the points accumulate over the course of the match. And then if there's no submission, that's how the match is decided. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, but referees in jiu-jitsu competitions are very like inconsistent. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. Yeah, that's it, guys. So, grab a new partner, please. So is everyone clear on the rules? Okay, you're looking to either trap a leg, get your feet back on your partner's hips, or roll them onto your back, onto their back. Sorry, yeah. Change partners and grabs. Yes, sorry, good question. Yeah, let's do this for initially 1.5 minutes. The person on top stays on top. Person on bottom stays on bottom. We'll do 2 rounds, and then we'll do another round of 3 minutes where people will be swapping over. Okay, but just I want to give you guys a little bit of time in top and bottom positions. Does that make sense to everyone? Grab someone new.